The thick jungle pressed in from every side, the shadows of towering trees swallowing the small Navy SEAL team as they moved cautiously along the muddy trail. Sweat slicked their uniforms, and the distant echoes of enemy patrols reminded them that retreat was no longer an option. They had been cut off after a reconnaissance mission went sideways. Intelligence had failed, the coordinates had been wrong, and now, with night falling, every direction looked like a death trap. The team leader, Lieutenant James Grizzly Hawkins, scanned the horizon, his face taut with tension. Radio chatter had been dead for 20 minutes, and the silence gnawed at them like an unseen predator. The air was thick with humidity, the scent of damp earth mingling with the acrid tang of smoke from distant fires. Each step carried the threat of booby traps, sniper fire, and enemy ambushes. The squad moved as one, their rifles raised, boots sinking into the mud with each careful step. Suddenly, a distant crack of a rifle shot split the air, ricocheting through the trees. They froze, eyes darting, hearts hammering. "They know we're here," Grizzly muttered under his breath. "Quick pause. Comment where you're watching from. And if you love these stories, hit subscribe now. The next one will blow your mind, and it's even crazier." Among the team, Lieutenant Emma Hawk Carson crouched silently, her keen eyes scanning every shadow, every movement. She was young, barely in her late 20s, but her reputation preceded her. Known for her precision and nerves of steel, Emma had trained under some of the greatest marksmen in history, mentors who had walked the same line between life and death as Chris Kyle and Andy McNabb. Her sniper rifle, custom-fitted and whisper-quiet, rested in her hands like an extension of her body. Every heartbeat was a countdown, every exhale a calculation. The SEALs had no way out. The terrain behind them was a cliff dropping into an abyss, and the path ahead led straight into the heart of enemy territory. The only option was to hold their ground and hope that someone, anyone, could even hear them. And then, as if answering a silent plea, Emma spotted a flicker of movement, a shadow moving with uncanny precision among the trees, almost as if the jungle itself were shielding an unseen ally. She adjusted her scope, the crosshairs settling on the silhouette. Grizzly spoke softly. "Emma, you see anything?" She didn't respond immediately. Her eyes were locked, calculating distance, wind, even the subtle rustle of leaves that betrayed an enemy sniper's position. Finally, she spoke, her voice low and steady. "I've got eyes on a possible threat, and a way forward. But it's risky. If I take the shot, we might just have a chance." The team shifted, readying themselves, hearts pounding. The jungle seemed to hold its breath, every rustle and snap amplified. Emma's finger hovered over the trigger, her mind a calm storm of strategy and instinct. She exhaled slowly, aligning her shot with the precision that had earned her the nickname Hawk. From the shadows, a sudden burst of machine gun fire erupted. Bullets tore through leaves, snapping branches, sending shards of bark into the mud. Grizzly dove behind a fallen tree, pulling the men down with him. "Suppressing fire!" he shouted. Emma's eyes narrowed. She could see the enemy's position now, a fortified ridge, barely visible, shadows blending with the night. She adjusted her scope, breathing in rhythm with her heartbeat. Every second was an eternity. The squad's survival depended on her. She had trained for this, had imagined it in simulations, but the weight of reality pressed down hard. She squeezed the trigger. The rifle barked, echoing through the valley, and a single enemy sniper fell silently into the underbrush. The team froze for a heartbeat, then exhaled collectively, the tension easing just enough for them to think forward. Emma moved quickly, signaling with hand gestures that the path was clear. They advanced cautiously, every step deliberate. But danger was never far. As they approached a small clearing, the sound of footsteps behind them hinted at pursuit. Emma dropped to one knee, rifle raised. The enemy tried to flank them, but she was faster, more precise. 2 shots rang out, silent to anyone who wasn't listening for them, and the threat was neutralized. Hours dragged on. The night seemed endless. But with each calculated shot, Emma gave the seals a lifeline. They moved through the jungle, using every trick of survival and stealth she had learned from legends. Her tactics mirrored those of William Bill Hackett, a master of guerrilla warfare, ambushes, misdirection, and the lethal patience that turned enemies into easy targets. At dawn, the team reached a narrow ridge overlooking a river below. The enemy had been relentless, and exhaustion weighed heavily, but hope flickered. Grizzly looked at Emma, his expression a mixture of relief and awe. "You kept us alive," he said quietly. Emma simply nodded, her eyes scanning the tree line, ever vigilant. Then came the final challenge. Across the ridge, a lone enemy commander, the one who had orchestrated their ambush, appeared. He was protected by shadows, every inch of his movement deliberate. The squad froze. This was the moment that would determine their fate. Emma raised her rifle, the crosshairs settling on the target. She adjusted for wind, distance, and the faint ripple of heat in the morning air. Her heart was steady. Her mind was clear. She exhaled. One shot, then another. The commander fell, and the jungle seemed to exhale with them. The seals moved quickly, descending the ridge to the river, the sound of rushing water masking their retreat. Their extraction point was near, and every step was a testament to bravery and skill. But the mission had not ended without cost. They were bruised, exhausted, and haunted by the moments when survival hung by a thread. Emma looked at her squad, each face a mixture of fatigue and relief. She knew that courage was not the absence of fear. It was action in spite of it. Every shot, every calculated move, every heartbeat in that jungle had been a defiance of death itself. As the team reached the riverbank, the sound of approaching helicopters offered salvation. They boarded swiftly, the rotor wash tearing through the jungle canopy. Emma took one last look at the terrain they had conquered, a silent promise to herself that she would return stronger, sharper, ready for the next impossible mission. The story of that night would become legend among their ranks. The squad had faced annihilation, yet through skill, courage, and the calm precision of a sharpshooter trained by the best, they had survived. Emma Hawk Carson had proven that even when the world closes in, when the odds are stacked impossibly against you, a determined heart and a steady hand could carve a path through the darkness. And as the helicopter lifted into the sky, the jungle falling away beneath them, the seals knew one thing with certainty. In war, sometimes the smallest, quietest figure, the one with eyes sharp as a hawk and nerves of steel, could change the fate of an entire team, turning certain defeat into a story of unparalleled courage. The sun had barely kissed the peaks of the rugged mountains when the Navy SEAL unit moved silently through the rocky terrain. Their mission was critical: gather intelligence deep in enemy territory, but everything had gone wrong. Explosions in the distance echoed like thunder through the valleys, and dust swirled around them, obscuring vision and giving the impression that the earth itself had turned against them. Supplies were low, radios dead, and each step forward felt like walking into a trap. The team pressed on, knowing the only way out was through sheer determination and raw skill. Captain Lara Viper Thompson led the way, her sharp eyes scanning every cliff face, every crevice for movement. She had trained relentlessly under some of the greatest warriors the world had ever known, learning the art of long-range precision and unconventional warfare from legends like Carlos Hathcock and Jack Churchill. Her sniper rifle, perfectly balanced, and Whisper Quiet was slung across her shoulder, ready at a moment's notice. The rest of the team relied on her instincts, knowing that her decisions in the coming hours could mean the difference between life and death. A sudden crack of a rifle shot rang out somewhere ahead, followed by a hail of gunfire. The SEALs dropped to the ground instinctively, rolling behind jagged rocks for cover. Quick pause. Comment where you're watching from. And if you love these stories, hit subscribe now. The next one will blow your mind, and it's even crazier. Lara's heart raced, but her hands were steady. She peered through her scope, the lens framing a narrow ledge where enemy soldiers were attempting to block their path. She counted 6, maybe 7 armed men, their movements methodical, unaware of the silent predator observing them from above. Lara adjusted for wind, angle, and distance, then fired. 1 shot, 2 shots, precise and deadly, and 2 enemies slumped, silently to the ground. The rest scrambled for cover, confused and vulnerable. The team seized the opportunity to advance, carefully navigating the treacherous mountain paths. Every step was measured, every breath controlled. The enemy, however, was relentless. From hidden positions among the rocks, they unleashed sporadic gunfire, testing the SEALs' defenses, probing for weaknesses. Lara remained calm, analyzing the terrain, predicting their movements, her mind working faster than any computer could process. Hours passed. The sun climbed higher, casting stark shadows across the rocky cliffs. Hunger gnawed at the squad. Exhaustion threatened to slow them down. Yet the mission pressed on. The team reached a narrow canyon, the walls towering above them like silent sentinels. They could see the fortified base they had originally intended to infiltrate, but now it was a trap, bristling with armed enemies ready to strike. Lara moved to a vantage point atop a jagged rock formation. From here, she had a clear line of sight into the enemy positions. Using techniques she had learned from both modern sharpshooters and legendary warriors of history, she began picking off key targets with surgical precision. Each shot was calculated, each movement deliberate. She signaled the team, guiding them through the safest paths, whispering directions that could save lives. The tension was unbearable. Every second felt like a lifetime, every shadow a potential death sentence. The SEALs knew they were exposed, but Lara's courage inspired them to press forward. With the enemy distracted and their formations disrupted, they began a slow but steady advance, inching toward the extraction point at the base of the canyon. As they approached a narrow bridge spanning a deep chasm, the enemy unleashed a coordinated volley of fire. Bullets whizzed past, ricocheting off rocks, some embedding in the ground mere inches from the team. Lara dropped to one knee, eyes locked on the enemy sniper positioned on a high outcrop. Her heart beat steadily, her training taking over, her mind a machine of focus. She fired. The sniper fell, the shot precise, and a path opened for the team to cross safely. But the danger was far from over. The canyon twisted and turned, each bend hiding potential ambushes. Lara's instincts screamed at her, telling her that the enemy commander who had orchestrated their ambush was watching them, calculating his next move. Every sound, the snap of a twig, the rustle of a loose rock, set her on high alert. Night began to fall, and with it came the shadows. The SEALs moved cautiously, aware that one wrong step could spell disaster. Lara used every tactic she knew, cover and concealment, misdirection, silent communication, to keep her team alive. The enemy fired sporadically, but each time, Lara was ready, neutralizing threats before they could strike. Then, a new danger emerged. A squad of heavily armed soldiers appeared at the end of the canyon, cutting off the only known exit. Panic threatened to rise, but Lara's calm demeanor steadied everyone. She scanned the ledges, the rocks, and the terrain, and spotted a narrow path that the enemy had overlooked. Signaling the team, she guided them toward it, crawling, jumping, and maneuvering with agility and precision. The squad moved like shadows, silent and deadly. Enemy soldiers were close enough to see, but Lara's tactical brilliance ensured they remained unseen. They reached a small clearing near a waterfall, where the roar of rushing water masked their movements. Exhausted but undeterred, they prepared for the final push to the extraction point, knowing this was the last chance to escape the deadly trap. As they approached the extraction zone, the enemy commander finally revealed himself. Tall, imposing, and heavily armed, he stepped into the open, attempting to cut off their escape. Lara's heart remained steady. This was the moment she had been preparing for. With unwavering focus, she aimed, calculated the distance, the wind, the trajectory, and fired. The commander fell silently, a decisive blow that shattered the enemy's morale. The SEALs moved quickly, reaching the edge of the cliff where the extraction helicopter waited. The rotors churned the mountain air into a fierce storm, whipping dust and debris around them. They boarded swiftly, the aircraft lifting into the sky as the canyon disappeared beneath them. Lara looked back at the terrain they had conquered, a silent acknowledgement of the danger they had faced and survived. The mission had been a success, but not without cost. Bruised, battered, and mentally exhausted, the team knew they had survived against impossible odds. Lara's bravery, skill, and unwavering focus had turned certain defeat into victory. She had demonstrated that even in the darkest, most dangerous moments, a determined mind and a steady hand could lead an entire team to safety. As the helicopter climbed higher, the mountains shrinking beneath them, the team allowed themselves a moment of quiet relief. The world below was still dangerous, still chaotic, but for now, they had survived. Lara's eyes scanned the horizon, already planning, already calculating, ready for the next mission. She had proven that courage was not the absence of fear, but the mastery of it. Stories of that day would travel far among the ranks of the SEALs. They had faced annihilation, been trapped in enemy territory, and emerged alive thanks to the unparalleled skill and courage of Captain Lara Viper Thompson. The team had learned firsthand that true heroes were not always the loudest, but often the ones who moved quietly, striking precisely and leading with both courage and intellect. In the end, the mountains stood as silent witnesses to the bravery of the SEALs. The team had no way out, but thanks to a sharpshooter who refused to yield, they had carved a path through danger itself. Lara Viper Thompson would forever be remembered as a warrior who embodied the spirit of legends, blending skill, courage, and strategy into a force that no enemy could withstand. And as the helicopter disappeared into the fading light, carrying the survivors toward safety, the mountains seemed to echo one undeniable truth. In war, courage and precision could turn even the most impossible situation into a story of triumph. The city had become a maze of destruction. Buildings, once proud and bustling, now stood as shattered husks, glass and concrete strewn across streets like jagged teeth. Smoke curled from burning vehicles, the acrid scent of gunpowder mixing with the heavy scent of rain-soaked rubble. A Navy SEAL squad moved cautiously through the ruins, their boots crunching against broken masonry, eyes scanning every alleyway, every window. They were deep in hostile territory, far from reinforcements, and the enemy knew it. Sergeant Mia Ghost Reynolds led the squad with a quiet intensity. Her eyes, a piercing shade of steel blue, missed nothing. Every shadow, every flicker of movement caught her attention. She had trained with some of the most elite soldiers in history, learning the precision of Robert Howard and the unconventional tactics of Lyle Bullet Thomas. She moved like a phantom, her silenced sniper, rifle cradled against her shoulder, sidearm ready at her hip. The team depended on her, and she would not fail them. The squad had been tasked with a high-risk reconnaissance operation, but things had gone catastrophically wrong. A sudden ambush had pinned them down in the heart of the city. Buildings provided cover for the enemy, but also for them. Every alley could hide a sniper. Every rooftop could conceal death. They moved with extreme caution, knowing one wrong step could spell annihilation. Quick pause. Comment where you're watching from. And if you love these stories, hit subscribe now. The next one will blow your mind, and it's even crazier. Mia signaled for the team to halt, her gloved fingers moving in a sequence only they could understand. She spotted movement, a shadow slipping between two collapsed walls, rifle glinting in the dim light. She adjusted her scope, measured distance, wind, and trajectory. Her finger brushed the trigger and a single silent shot echoed through the night. The enemy dropped without a sound. The team pressed forward, carefully navigating the broken streets. Every corner brought new dangers: tripwires, hidden explosives, enemy patrols. Mia's eyes were constantly moving, calculating angles, anticipating threats. She directed the team with subtle gestures, guiding them through the most dangerous paths with surgical precision. Hours passed. The rain began, drumming on rooftops and puddles, masking their movements with its steady rhythm. The squad reached a narrow street, flanked by crumbling buildings. From above, enemy snipers were watching, waiting for a chance to strike. Mia crawled to a vantage point, her rifle aimed through a shattered window. Each shot she fired was deliberate, precise, neutralizing threats before they could alert others. Her calmness under fire was unmatched, and the team relied on her skill to survive. The enemy commander, a ruthless strategist known for his cunning, had cornered them. He appeared in a burned-out plaza, flanked by heavily armed soldiers. The squad froze, realizing the gravity of the moment. Mia's mind raced, weighing options. The extraction point was still a distance away, and the enemy had them trapped. She had one chance to turn the tide. Mia moved silently through the debris, every step calculated. Using shadows and reflections from broken glass, she positioned herself to take the perfect shot. The enemy's movements were deliberate, predictable, and she exploited every detail. One by one, she eliminated the guards blocking their path, each shot measured and silent. The team advanced behind her, their confidence growing with every threat neutralized. The city seemed alive with danger. From darkened doorways and ruined hallways, enemy forces attempted to flank the SEALs. Mia anticipated their maneuvers, setting traps with precision and strategy. Her knowledge of urban warfare allowed her to manipulate the environment, using rubble, broken walls, and even streetlights to her advantage. Finally, the extraction point came into view, a small courtyard near a partially destroyed hospital. A helicopter hovered above, its rotors stirring the debris and rain, signaling salvation. But before the team could move, the enemy commander revealed himself. He was heavily armed, a shadow of menace, determined to prevent their escape. Mia's pulse remained steady. This was the moment that would decide everything. She aimed, calculating every variable: the distance, the wind, the angle of the falling rain, and the slight movement of the enemy. Her rifle was an extension of her body, every muscle in sync with her intent. She fired. The shot struck true, and the commander fell. Silence hung for a heartbeat before the squad surged forward. The team sprinted across the courtyard, dodging sporadic gunfire, reaching the perimeter where the helicopters' rope ladder descended. One by one they climbed, the roar of the blades drowning out the chaos below. Mia was last, covering her squad until the final moment. Her rifle fired once more, suppressing the remaining threats before she climbed aboard. The helicopter lifted into the stormy sky, carrying them away from the city and its chaos. Rain pelted their faces, wind tugged at their uniforms, but relief flooded through the squad. They were alive. Exhausted, soaked, and battered, they had survived the impossible. Mia leaned back, her eyes scanning the city below. Smoke rose from the ruins, and the streets were eerily quiet now, the echoes of battle fading into memory. She knew that courage was not just about bravery. It was about patience, precision, and calculated risk. The squad had witnessed firsthand what a single determined soldier could accomplish when skill and courage were combined. The mission would be remembered among the SEALs as a feat of tactical brilliance and courage. Trapped in a city that was a death trap, they had survived against overwhelming odds. Mia Ghost Reynolds had proven that a calm mind and precise actions could turn the tide, even in the darkest urban battlegrounds. As the helicopter climbed higher, the city shrinking beneath them, the squad allowed themselves a moment of reflection. They had faced annihilation and survived, thanks to a sharpshooter who had moved like a shadow, striking without hesitation. Mia's name would echo in the ranks, a symbol of courage, determination, and skill. The city below remained a battlefield, but the SEALs had triumphed. Through rubble-strewn streets and shattered buildings, through darkness and chaos, they had survived. Their journey was a testament to bravery, to leadership, and to the unwavering spirit of soldiers who refused to yield. And as the helicopter disappeared into the horizon, carrying the exhausted but victorious team toward safety, the story of that night became a legend. A reminder that in war, courage, precision, and determination could defy the impossible. Mia Ghost Reynolds had led them through darkness, proving that even in the most perilous situations, one skilled and fearless soldier could change the course of an entire mission.